Remembrance Day marked across the county.
We always just think back to those who served and gave the ultimate sacrifice, and those who continue to serve today.
Local residents gather to salute the country's fallen soldiers. Those who served.
I went and got my parachute, went to the rear of the plane, opened the door at the rear end, and jumped out.
Windsor's Second World War veterans remembered in their own words. And comparing costs in 2026.
It's a very difficult budget, I find, for us in the town of LaSalle this year.
Breaking down the differences in proposed municipal budgets.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us both on CTV Windsor and AM 800. This year marks 80 years since the end of the Second World War. Canada is paying tribute today, pausing to remember soldiers who fought in service of this country and those who never came home. We'll take you to several different ceremonies and different ways people are honoring our veterans. We start in Windsor. Hundreds gathering at the cenotaph to pay their respects. CTV's Travis Fortnum was there. Travis, Windsorites always come out to this ceremony.
Yeah, they do, and they did today, despite the cold, despite the crowds. The clouds, that is. Hundreds did just that, honoring those who fought for Canada over the years. In the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, Windsor pauses to remember. Hundreds braving the chill and clouds at Windsor's cenotaph to honor those who served. Among them, Sailor First Class Dylan Nicholson, taking his place as sentry for the first time. The naval reservist with HMCS Hunter stood in silence, a symbol of respect and reflection.
It's a real honor to be chosen to be the sentry and to represent your service.
Head bowed, motionless in the cold, a role he doesn't take lightly.
You know, we're standing there at the cenotaph and really standing in the shadow of the brave men and women who have come before us.
One of those who came before, Donna Parent. He served with the Canadian Armed Forces in Germany and Cyprus, and at 89 years old, still participates in the cenotaph ceremony.
I'm just glad I can come here, you know. At a certain ages, you know, you're not able to get out here, but I'm just thrilled to be out here and be with all my comrades.
The ceremony, a reminder of the sacrifices that shaped the country.
We think of what happened years ago during the First and Second World War. How those guys, they just kept going. Where we got a moment of silence to just think of what they were doing at that moment. It's quite an emotional thing.
I am a living memory of a father or a son, a permanent reminder of each and every one.
Among the wreaths surrounding the cenotaph, one recognizing the No. 2 Construction Battalion, a black Canadian unit that served in the First World War, long unrecognized for its contribution. Barb Porter saying she's proud to lay it.
Well, honestly, I think about, like, my grandfather was part of this battalion and two of my great uncles. And so I think about what they endured helping and fighting.
For Nicholson and others like him, it's those stories of sacrifice, service, and endurance that give this day its weight.
We always just think back to those who served and gave the ultimate sacrifice, and those who continue to serve today.
A moment of silence that speaks louder each year. If you missed today's ceremony, you can watch the full thing from start to finish over on our website, ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And Travis, of course, ceremonies like this were held in several communities.
Yeah, that's right. I was lucky enough to go to this one in Windsor, while Bob Belichico got to go to the one in LaSalle. Residents, veterans, and students and local officials all gathering at LaSalle Cenotaph Park.
How lucky are we to experience peace? Whether that be the sound of children playing in the street, the quiet at night, or the comfort of home.
We did not live through those wars. We did not face the fear nor the loss. But we inherit the gift of their sacrifice, and with it, the duty to remember.
Students from Villanova and Sandwich sharing their thoughts at 11 a.m. A hush fell over the crowd for the traditional moment of silence, and in a powerful and symbolic gesture, sunlight passed through the Cenotafh's slotted steel top, illuminating Central Europe on the monument's world map, a design feature that aligns perfectly with the sun each November 11th.
Our military in Canada has been pretty neglected, even when I was in the Navy back in the 60s. Now we got to catch up. Unfortunately, I'd like to see a day where we didn't need military all over the world, but I'm not going to live that long. I know that. So it's unfortunate, but it's something that has to be done.
And you don't have to limit Remembrance just to today. The Windsor Public Library has a new podcast of Remembrance.
I went and got my parachute, went to the rear of the plane, opened the door at the rear end, and jumped out.
That's the voice of one of the 50 local veterans who were interviewed back in 1999 by the Windsor Public Library in commemoration of the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. The staff have put some of them together in a podcast. It's called Those Who Served. The podcast is the latest episode in a series of podcasts the library has on Windsor history.
Travis, also we spoke with some residents who live at Riverside Retirement, and they remembered their vets in their own way.
Yeah, they've got the Poppy Project going on there. This is the 5th year residents were joined by students and community members for the annual project. The front lawn is now filled with hundreds of homemade poppies, each carrying a personal message of thanks to Canada's veterans and those still serving. The handmade poppies will be delivered tomorrow to local veterans and active service members, a gesture that organizers say keeps the message of remembrance growing stronger each year.
We get a lot of horns honking. We get people that stop by and like to read the messages. People like to come by and get their pictures taken with it. So it really is impactful to see 1,000 poppies out on the front like this. And it really does make people pause and think.
We have Remembrance Day stories all throughout the show today, including information about a book that Drew Dilkins read from today's ceremony.
It's quite an emotional day.
It is, and being there, it really hits you. You can hear a pin drop downtown during the moment of silence. It was great to get to go there today.
Okay, thank you for all your coverage. Travis Fortnum with our Remembrance Day coverage at the start of the show. Thank you so much, Travis.
Thanks.
So here's our question of the day. Do you observe Remembrance Day? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday we asked if you were ready for the first snowfall of the year. This was a close one. Out of almost 600 votes, 51% say yes. Chilly temperatures to honor those fallen soldiers. Meteorologist Gary Archibald joins me now for a first look at the weather tonight. Gary.
Yeah, a chilly day, of course, on a day of remembrance, and very significant across this country and around the world. Today, very cold, chilly. We knew the winds would be impactful because the already in place cold air and the northwesterlies combined made it feel several degrees colder than the ambient temperature that we are experiencing at the surface. This is snow, and it's being driven right across southern and southwestern Ontario as I speak, with more intermittent flurries tonight into tomorrow morning, but there will be some milder temperatures coming our way. That's the big story looking ahead for the rest of this week. I'll break it down just ahead.
A warning from police in Windsor and LaSalle about counterfeit money surfacing in the community. Police are investigating multiple reports of bogus $100 bills being passed. Investigators are urging businesses to verify the authenticity of all currency before accepting it. Police also warning residents will see a larger than normal police presence tomorrow. Windsor Police will be conducting training exercises in Amherstburg. You'll see a number of officers and some loud noises in the area of Boblo Island and the 300 block of Dalhousie Street. Police say there is no risk to public safety. The town of LaSalle is greenlighting a plan to write to the Solicitor General asking to discuss equitable funding for municipally policed communities.
It does beg the fact that we have been 20 years plus being underfunded by the province compared to OPPs.
Last year, the province announced $77 million to help OPP patrolled communities deal with rising police costs. This year, the Ford government is proposing a cap on cost increases. LaSalle and other communities that pay for their own municipal police forces face the same rise in costs, but the same funding has not extended to all municipalities. LaSalle feels the province has an obligation to even the playing field and address the inequities in funding police services.
So as a chief, it's not clear to me whether or not services are being reduced to the 11% or whether those services are being subsidized through the province. And so we have a responsibility to explain to our taxpayer that yes, you're paying the sort of the full cost of policing, and it appears that other municipalities are not. But we're seeking clarity on that issue.
LaSalle homeowners might be paying more next year. The town's draft budget calls for an almost 6% tax hike as officials try to balance rising costs and future projects. CTV's Bob Belichico explains.
It's a very difficult budget, I find, for us in the town of LaSalle this year.
LaSalle Mayor Crystal Meloche says the town has a lot of things to consider heading into budget season, contractual obligations, and catching up with inflation.
We have Malden Road project coming up starting this summer. We have the front road work being done. We have LaSalle Landing. We have the Howard Bouffard area.
The town also needs to put money into reserves for future investments. Right now, the preliminary budget sees a 5.98% increase, which works out to about $189 for a home with an assessed value of $280,000.
Even though we can sell our homes for 2-3 times our assessed values, we actually pay taxes on what MPACT assessed us with in 2016. Okay. So it's a huge difference.
Last week, Windsor's mayor pushed for a 0% property tax increase, which Meloche says is next to impossible for LaSalle.
For us to be able to get to a 0% or anywhere even close to a 0%, we have to reduce services. And when hearing from our residents, that's not something they're interested in.
That's what staff in Amherstburg is being asked to do. The draft budget there has a proposed tax increase of 2.86%.
I asked staff to keep it below 3% and hopefully around the inflation rate. And quite a few things had to be removed or cut or put off for other years in order to make this happen.
The increase is estimated to be about $85 for a home with an assessed value of $250,000. That works out to less than $2 per week. Prue expects some pushback from residents.
Some will be coming out and saying they want items that have been cut from the budget. They want them back in, and some will be coming and saying cut out some more because I don't want a tax increase. So, I mean, I expect they all have various opinions, and we need to hear them all.
Amherstburg is hosting a public open house to discuss the budget November 22nd at the Libro Center, and LaSalle will hold an open house this coming Monday at the Vollmer Complex between 5 and 8. Bob Belichico, CTV News.
And there will be no changes coming to parking on Tecumseh Road. An idea floated by the deputy mayor has been rejected, much to the disappointment of at least one business owner. Michelle Molesky reports.
You can hear from the frustration of the customers coming in is that this traffic is horrible.
And Oven 360 owner JJ Carcelin says business is down because of the traffic congestion on Tecumseh Road.
And that's why my notice of motion was asking, let's do something. Let's address it and respond to the residents, the ones that are asking for help.
Deputy Mayor Joe Becchetti wanted some parking removed from Tecumseh Road to give motorists more space to turn right. Or he asked the town to consider banning on-street parking at rush hour.
There are businesses that are hurting, and they need help now, not in 2 years.
Becchetti says construction projects on Banwell and EC Row, as well as County Road 22, are funneling extra traffic through Tecumseh. These projects are long-term. He wanted to help Tecumseh Road businesses now.
It got tabled, and we had the discussion, and I respect democracy.
Town administrators felt it would be tough to enforce timed parking spaces, and they remain committed to the town's streetscaping plans. Becchetti's motion was defeated by a vote of 5-2.
It is frustrating, for customers and for owners, that are taxpayers, that we've been told to be patient. I mean, 3 years is a long time, and there's businesses that are not going to make it. unfortunately.
In Tecumseh, Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
Good news for commuters. All 4 exits of the roundabout at County Road 42 and Manning Road are now open. The county says work from the roundabout to L'Esperance Road is now complete. Crews will be back in the spring to complete work along County Road 42 from L'Esperance to the roundabout at Banwell Road. We do want to hear from you. Do you have a comment or question? Text us at 10400. Start your day with the latest local news. By signing up for our newsletter, you'll get direct local content straight from CTV Windsor to your inbox, including top stories, the forecast, and videos. You can sign up at ctvnewswindsor.ca. A development in a CTV W5 investigation into an online sex abuse network. It involves men who secretly drug and videotape the mistreatment of their own wives and girlfriends. After infiltrating the group, W5 shared evidence with police in Switzerland, evidence that has now put a man behind bars. W5's Avery Haynes with what she has learned.
Initially, all I had to go on was this, a man who was uploading videos of himself wearing this mask as he sexually abused a seemingly unconscious woman. We nicknamed him Henri, and while I was undercover, he offered to mentor me, sending me sickening emails describing in horrifying detail how every week he was secretly drugging and videotaping his wife. Canadian criminal profiler Jim Van Allen analyzed our email conversations.
Henri really matches the overall expectations of a drug-facilitated sexual assault offender. Personable, charming, manipulative, a flare of narcissism.
Henri shared enough about himself that I was able to give police his full name as well as his address. He is now behind bars in Geneva, Switzerland on charges of rape and sexual coercion. Avery Haynes, CTV News, Toronto.
Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who helped convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein prey on children and young women, wants Donald Trump to commute her sentence. And according to a whistleblower, Maxwell is also receiving special luxuries in prison. Here's CTV's Joy Melvin.
Outside this prison camp in Texas, Ghislaine Maxwell is reportedly working on her freedom. The convicted sex trafficker plans to ask President Donald Trump to commute her prison sentence. That's according to the top Democrat on the congressional committee investigating Jeffrey Epstein's criminal network. Congressman Jamie Raskin says a whistleblower detailed that and a list of Maxwell's prison perks, from playing with puppies to computer use.
The whistleblower made clear that Ghislaine Maxwell is just in a completely different category than every other prisoner. She gets essentially room service behind bars. She can use the shower. She can use the gym whenever she wants to.
The family of Virginia Giuffre are horrified. In Virginia's posthumous memoir, she called Maxwell a sexual predator who trafficked her to rich and powerful men, alleging the former Prince Andrew sexually abused her when she was just a minor.
If King Charles can strip Andrew of the prince title over just affiliations, why is our president not definitively ruling out a convicted sex trafficker of minors, of children?
Donald Trump's lawyer interviewed Maxwell in federal prison last July after she claimed President Trump was not involved in any illegal activities. Maxwell was suddenly transferred to this prison camp. Congressman Raskin claims the whistleblower says the warden there is helping Maxwell apply for her freedom.
Ghislaine Maxwell is actively seeking a commutation, a pardon from the president right now.
The White House says it does not comment on potential clemency requests, but the president has said before he has not ruled out a pardon. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
U.S. President Trump has already pardoned dozens of allies accused of trying to overturn his 2020 election laws, including his former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. In a proclamation, Trump said the move would end a grave national injustice and continue the process of national reconciliation. Trump's pardons include 77 people, but the move is largely symbolic, as pardons only apply to federal crimes and all of the recipients were charged at the state level. The pardons does not apply to Trump himself. Canada Post has submitted its plan to Ottawa to transform its struggling business into what it is hoping will be a financially sustainable postal service. Canada Post had 45 days to deliver a plan. It says it will share details after Ottawa signs off. Canada Post CEO says it will modernize the post office while protecting the service. This comes as the Crown Corporation continues collective bargaining talks with its largest union. Postal workers are still on rotating strikes ahead of the holiday season. Ontario has secured a one-year extension with the federal government for the national $10 a day childcare program. The program, which currently has fees at an average of $19 a day in Ontario, had been set to expire on March 31st. Most provinces and territories signed extensions before this year's federal election, but Ontario only reached an agreement in principle to continue the program. The one-year extension comes with $695 million in additional funding from Ottawa. Ontario Education Minister Paul Calandra says that means fees will not rise next year, but the money is not enough to lower the average childcare cost closer to the $10 a day mark. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we remember our veterans. As CTV's Abigail Beeman shows us, thousands attended the National Remembrance Day ceremony in Ottawa.
They came to Ottawa from coast to coast.
We have so many Newfoundlanders and who've passed through the wars.
I feel we owe a debt of gratitude to those servicemen and women who, from the past, the present, and the future.
There's a heaviness, knowing each year fewer and fewer are at the national ceremony like Elmer Friesen, here from Calgary at 103. Second World War veterans now number fewer than 4,000.
I'm so glad that my son thought I should come here to experience this alive. So moving.
If we don't remember, well, the world's enough of a mess. You can see what happens when we don't.
Time marches on. Now we have to remember our newer veterans, ones returning from Afghanistan, Bosnia, and the newer conflicts, and what we're facing today.
My transition's been pretty good. I have good days, bad days. To be here today is something that I've always wanted to do.
A service imbued with meaning. The Silver Cross mother, Nancy Payne, remembers son Randy, killed in Afghanistan. Weather so miserable, the traditional fly past replaced by a single helicopter. But still, they stood.
Do you want to stand up? Yes, I do.
Elmer Friesen determined to lay a poppy on the tomb of the unknown soldier for his late brother.
They sacrificed so many guys and never came home. And here I am sitting here and people are admiring me for, and it was a privilege for me to be in the service.
It has become a tradition to lay a poppy here after the ceremony, a small but impactful gesture, leaving a striking red tribute to all those who served and those who gave their lives for Canada. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
An Ontario man says a recent trip to Jamaica turned much more expensive than he anticipated after the airline lost his luggage. As Pat Thorne reports, he wanted to keep his expensive personal items in his carry-on, but he was forced to check it.
You knew you had expensive stuff in that bag, which is why you wanted to keep it.
That is why I wanted to keep it.
Stafford Gordon of Oshawa is a collector of gold jewelry and luxury watches. In August, he went with his wife to Jamaica for a memorial service and to celebrate their 34th wedding anniversary. He took 2 watches, jewelry, suits, shoes, and other items. He used a carry-on so his suitcase would stay with him at all times. But at the last moment, an Airlines staffer took it and said it must be checked.
He just took the bag and stepped away and left. Called back and said, "What seat are you in?" And I was like, 23, and he just left.
Gordon says when they got to Jamaica, his suitcase was missing.
I found out that there was nothing. They had no record of my bags, nothing. It was gone. So I had to attend now the memorial in my travel clothes.
Gordon flew American Airlines, and when he complained, he was told to provide receipts for the missing items. But he says some of the jewelry and watches were 10 to 20 years old, so he didn't have them. He estimates the missing goods are valued at $10,000.
My jewelry alone is worth at least $8,000.
When CTV News reached out to American Airlines, a spokesperson said, "Our team has been in touch with the passenger to learn more about their experience and address their concerns. We are working with them to come to a resolution." In the end, Gordon was compensated $1,272, which was not enough for him.
I need adequate compensation for my loss.
You have a carry-on allowance. The airline has to honor that.
Air passenger rights advocate Gabor Lukash says Gordon should have been given $3,000 as a starting point, and if he can prove the value of his items, he should get much more. He advises Gordon to take the airline to small claims court.
If the airline takes your baggage, they are liable for your baggage. They have to deliver it back to you.
Gordon says it was a frustrating experience, and he still wants more compensation for his lost carry-on. Pat Foran, CTV News.
In Toronto, the TSX gained 93 points. In New York, the Dow added 559, but the Nasdaq fell 59. The Canadian dollar is up a modest 0.04 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold lost almost $6 an ounce and oil gained 91 cents a barrel.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to Mike Harrison for this great image. Just ahead, we'll talk chilly evening, overnight, and morning in that order. And maybe some flurries go along with the wind. We'll break it down for you coming up next on CTV News Windsor.
Cold outside today, some bundling up to attend a Remembrance Day ceremony. Gary joins me again for an extended look at the weather tonight. Gary.
Still cold, chilly, in fact. The wind chill values in that -7 to -11 range across parts of southwestern Ontario. Today reached a high between 1 and +2 degrees Celsius. It felt colder, so we weren't really too concerned with the numbers on the screen here. It was what it felt like. So to say it was above the freezing mark, but felt like about -7 to 8, you get the idea. Very much below seasonal. Air quality continues to be good, 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. The lower the numbers, the better. Wind gusts, that's why it's feeling cold and colder tonight. As I speak, we are ramping up the wind gusts, the peak winds. Over an hour period, we measure those winds. We look for a consistency, but we do get the ebb and flow, and the peak winds are making zero at the airport at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, close to about 34 +1 in Chatham-Kent. Feel like about -6, -7 in Windsor, closer to about -5 to -6 in Chatham-Kent. Some weather stations recording along the north shores of Lake Erie wind chill values closer to -10, -11. Yes, the northwesterlies reinforce that cold air that's in place, and the very strong gusts have made it feel even colder. There's more flurry activity and potential between now and midnight, about a 30 to 60% chance because it's very scattered and intermittent rather. The heaviest bands are well to our north and east. So if you're traveling towards the GTA or north of the GTA or perhaps towards Niagara Falls, anticipate some snow accumulating on area roadways. We'll be holding between about 0 and -1 between now and midnight, with that chance of flurries, I think, increasing through the overnight. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. So it feels colder than it actually is. It is windy tonight. Tomorrow, though, we will see a change in the wind direction, hence warmer air moving in. 7 degrees, mostly cloudy, a chance of flurries early in the morning. 8 degrees and sunny on Thursday, 9 on Friday, and the weekend between 10 and 12. Monday, Tuesday, still looking at potentially a warm Monday with showers up to 14. It is incredibly volatile right now, the temperature scale.
Lifetime, brought to you by Safeguard Medical Alert Systems.
Ontario could be in for a rough flu season this year, according to health experts. They say a combination of factors are likely to contribute to the severity of the spread of H1N1 and H3N2 strains.
It does have to do with how many people are unvaccinated and susceptible, and the specific strain of flu that's circulating that year. And just as a reminder, you're not protected for this year's strain from last year's vaccination. So that's why we say that essentially everyone over the age of 6 months in Canada should be vaccinated every single year.
Data from Public Health Ontario shows a 1.8% rise in flu cases in the province within the last week of October. That accounts for 3 outbreaks, 14 hospitalizations, and 129 cases. Public Health predicts there will be another spike in cases when the data from November 2nd to the 15th are released. But it's not just Ontario. Federal data reveals that roughly 2% of tests come back positive in the last week, but it's below the 5% threshold needed to declare a seasonal flu epidemic. As we honor the men and women who serve our country, there's growing recognition of the physical and mental toll military service can take. Researchers are studying how service impacts the brain to better protect veterans and active members. Now, a high-profile Canadian is stepping up to help. CTV's Natalie Johnson explains.
It's about 5K.
Down on the boardwalk by his East End home, Aaron O'Toole still maintains a quick pace in life after politics.
When I run, I generally go to the volleyball courts.
The former federal Conservative leader harnesses physical activity to support brain health, grateful that he never suffered a brain injury during his years of service in the military.
Our veterans serve, and many of them come back with injuries, both physical, mental, some aren't visible. And traumatic brain injury is something that we're really starting to understand.
Now, in this time of remembrance, O'Toole is pledging to donate his brain when he dies to Project Enlist. Research conducted by the Concussion Legacy Foundation to better understand the impact of military service on the brain.
You first think of the roadside bomb and, the light armored vehicle and the concussion, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic.
It's this revelation that it's not just concussions, it's the cumulative non-concussive impacts over time that people sustain during the course of their service that can end up leading to mental health issues, neurodegenerative disease, CTE.
Even though O'Toole didn't suffer head trauma during his time in the military, his brain can serve as a baseline or control for the testing. So far, more than 500 veterans have pledged to donate their brains for research.
I think we need to make sure we have the best protection, headgear and other things for our men and women in uniform. And we have to find treatment methods to reduce injury and treat it early so that there can be a quality of life.
Quality of life that is so critical year-round, well after Canadians take off their poppies when the Remembrance Day ceremony ends.
I hope this donation will take place a long time in the future, but I want to be part of something that is so positive.
Arming the Canadian military with research that will help to better educate and equip, another step forwards in supporting those who serve. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
While many Royal Canadian Legions are struggling to survive, one has found a winning strategy that's coming up on Windsor's News Leader. The Royal Canadian Legion has served as a cornerstone for many local communities. And although many branches have struggled to stay open, some have seen a sudden revival. Here's CTV's Andrew Johnson on what's behind the success of a branch in BC.
G59. We have a bingo call.
It's a packed house for bingo night at the Maple Ridge Legion.
Do people get into it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They start screaming the numbers out.
The dozens with dabbers poring over bingo cards are some of the more than 2,600 members of the largest and most successful Legion in the country.
It's an amazing place.
I've always felt very comfortable and very safe in here to come in all by myself, have a glass of wine on a dinner, or meet with friends.
Struggling. Bingo night, karaoke, dances, and the classic meat draw bring people in, but there's more to this Legion than entertainment. In addition to fundraising and support for veterans and their families, the Maple Ridge Legion operates 2 housing developments built on partially donated land decades ago. It provides hundreds of homes for veterans and seniors at much less than market value. The branch boasts assets in the range of $50 million.
We had some great executive members who were forward-thinking.
Very good groundwork to begin with. When I got there over 30 years ago, there was people in place that knew what they were doing.
They credit business smarts and huge community support with helping this branch weather the post-pandemic struggles that have led to some closures across the country. Membership in BC overall is now growing, and the Legion says that's also happening Canada-wide as branches diversify.
Some innovative models are starting to pop up around the country. So you have that model where you have help available at a branch. You might also have some support services in-house.
In Maple Ridge, members are incredibly grateful for the place they count on.
Where do you go? You can't just go to a bar. You know, where do you meet people? Well, you come to the Legion.
They hope for many years to come. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Maple Ridge, BC.
For the first time in 23 years, Canadian rock legends Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman will be touring together as the Guess Who. The Taking It Back tour will kick off on May 26th in Moncton and will stop in London on June 2nd. Former Eagle Don Felder will join the tour as a special guest. This is the first time for Bachman and Cummings under the Guess Who name since settling a trademark dispute with former group members Jim Cale and Gary Peterson.
This is your CTV Windsor, our community calendar. The In Honor of the Ones We Love annual Potato Fest returns Monday, December 1st at their new location, the Chichero Club. Join us and support local cancer patients. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Kate Otterbein. Now, Kate, Windsor's mayor is now a published poet.
Yes, he is using his words to help local veterans. Drew Dilkins has a self-published poem called Scars of War, penned during the pandemic in 2020, about a fictional young Windsorite who was changed by his service during the Second World War. You can pick up a copy online for a good cause. Dilkins says it helps the Windsor Veterans Memorial Services Committee.
The book's available for $20, and I'm not at Remembrance Day having a sales pitch, but it's available for $20. All of the proceeds are going to go to Paul's group and all of the people you see standing here who put on all of the events throughout the city of Windsor all year long. And so
we've got those details and more online at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And I hear the residents of LaSalle can soon visit the Golden Arches.
Yes, this is the first restaurant in McDonald's. In LaSalle, sorry. McDonald's is opening at 11 a.m. It's one of the first businesses to open in the newly developed Shops at Heritage Plaza on Sandwich West Parkway. If you've been nearby, you might notice it looks like it's open, but that's just in preparation for the big day. An official grand opening will take place on December 4th. And in our social spotlight tonight, Officer Sea Lion reporting for duty. This sea lion found his way onto a wet road in Washington and refused to move, even for the police. Now, officers posted pictures and video on Facebook alerting the public of the roadblock, of course, but they went one step further, and the police station used AI to turn the sea lion into an officer, which then became its profile picture, naturally. One of the comments that I found hilarious under this post was that he's just doing his civic duty, stopping the jaywalking salmon.
So adorable. A lot of people are afraid of artificial intelligence, but I enjoy it being used in this manner. If only that sea lion could talk. I would love his story of how he got there.
For sure. They really used it for good here.
Okay. Now, if anyone has video they want to share with you, how can they send it?
Yes, you can give us an email at newsnow@bellmedia.ca or text it to 10400.
Just never forget.
When we return, what veterans want people to remember this year. A beautiful Canadian flag waving in the wind. Volatile conditions, Gary, you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah, temperatures have taken a huge nosedive of late. Very unseasonal, still cold tonight, and gusty winds will make it feel even colder. The overnight temperature could get down to about -1, feeling like about -8. Tomorrow morning's not so bad, and we will warm up to about 7 degrees, still about 2.5 degrees below seasonal tomorrow in the afternoon. Up to 8 or 9 with some sunshine on Thursday. Friday, I think, could actually be sunnier than the icon would suggest, looking at about 9 or 10, and then 10, 12 for the weekend, clouding over. Could see showers late Sunday into Monday. Monday, we could get up to 14 degrees before we take another dip in temperatures.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Sanjay, Kate and I were discussing a little bit earlier about artificial intelligence, and you have another story for us on that?
That's right, Stefanie. Tonight at 11, we're bringing our viewers the story of how one police service in Ontario is turning to AI, artificial intelligence, to help handle non-emergency calls. Officials say it's about freeing up operators so 911 calls can be answered faster. But cybersecurity experts warn the technology still is not perfect. So we'll have more details on this tonight at 11.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. Now, more than 1 million Canadians served in the Second World War, and today only a few thousand remain. CTV's Alex Karpa spoke to some of them about what they want Canadians to remember.
102-year-old Percy Rosamond was just 19 when he joined the Royal Canadian Air Force in 1942.
I don't know why, but I enjoyed my time in the Air Force.
He was an aircraft mechanic during the war stationed in England, where he worked on Liberator bombers. Rosamond recalls his brother, who was an air gunner during the war, left England the same day he arrived.
I thought that was quite a novel thing to have happen.
101-year-old Andrew Pradanik was also 19 when he joined the war effort in 1943.
I tried to get into be a pilot, but all the positions were filled because this was near the end of the war, and so I took on navigation.
Pradanik trained in Brandon, Regina, Saskatoon, and ended up in Rivers, Manitoba. By the time his training was complete, the war was over. He says he has fond memories of his time in active duty.
It was very interesting work.
With Remembrance Day, Pradanik and Rosamond will both remember friends who made the ultimate sacrifice. And with that, Rosamond is sharing a simple message.
Just never forget.
Both men live at this facility here in Winnipeg and are part of a dwindling number of Second World War veterans in Canada, a conflict where more than 1 million Canadians served. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Thank you both for your service. It's hard to believe enlisting at the age of 19 was the norm back there. It's hard to believe that in 2025.
They were men, but kids too,
yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
The great responsibility at such a young age is remarkable.
And it really hits home the message that we heard yesterday about ensuring younger generations don't forget about the sacrifices these men made.
Exactly. As you know, CTV has attended multiple Remembrance Day ceremonies over the weekend and, of course, today. Please, let's take a look back at those ceremonies.